Get funky one time, my canine brothers of the salt. We are back to Teeling. We are back to Ireland with the Teeling single grain. And I will also be explaining why the Irish are the butt of so many jokes in just a few moments. Yes, that is right. A bit of a treat for y'all. The single grain. You might be wondering what a single grain is. I will tell you. Teeling used to be the Cooley Distillery. Funnily enough, the Cooley Distillery actually was a distiller of medicinal alcohol. They were bought by the Teeling family. And I still think that Teeling retains quite a lot of its medicinal properties. I certainly feel better after having one. As I've mentioned in previous videos, my knowledge of Irish culture is pretty limited. I know they kiss the Blarney Stone and they say Bigorra. A lot of them move to New York. They have ballads that don't go anywhere. But they're also the butt of a lot of jokes. And since I like telling jokes, here's one for you to carry around with you. So these three blighters, an American, an Australian, and an Irishman, came to be asked a certain question. I can't exactly remember what the question was, but the Australian and the American answered quite sensibly, whereas the Irishman responded in a foolish manner. Can't exactly remember what it was he said, but it was quite humorous in comparison to the first two replies. Anyway, enough of that. Back to the whiskey. A single grain. So grain alcohol is usually what is used in conjunction with single malts to form a blend. It's kind of meant to be the canvas upon which the malts are then placed upon, if you want to think about it in those terms. So you'll hear me prattling on every time I do a blend on the channel. You'll hear me say that the nose won't be as strong. This is just a characteristic of the grain alcohol. You know, their noses aren't as potent, aren't as pronounced. So what's a single grain? A single grain then of course means that there is no malted barley. It's all comprised of different grains. In this particular case, the main grain being used is maize or corn, being the same thing. So I'm expecting that very understated nose to translate here because, it is grain alcohol, but it's also been specifically crafted this way, so it might be a bit more nosy than your typical grain whiskey. A very interesting aspect to this bottling is that it has been matured in Cab Sav or Cabernet Sauvignon casks. So those of you who are wine boffins will know that Cab Sav or Cabernet Sauvignon is a red wine, and in particular they use Californian Cabernet Sauvignon, and anyone who knows anything about wine knows that California has some wine significance. Yes, well, that's enough of me bumbling on. Let's turn around, have a look at the box, and see what we are dealing with. Teeling single grain is one of only a handful of such expressions in the world, made through this combination of unique ingredients, predominantly maize/corn, and the modern technique of column distillation produces an exceptionally clean, smooth, sweet Irish whiskey. So, the whiskey details. It is from Ireland. It is a single grain, so all made up of grain alcohol. I believe in the mash bill it is roughly 90 or 95% corn. It has been bottled at 46% ABV. It has not been chill filtered, and as mentioned, it has been matured in Cab Sav, Californian Cabernet Sauvignon barrels, which is, for grain whiskey, that's quite unique. Let's give it a nose. So you kind of have a metallic, coppery metallic note. Some gentle spice and vanilla. There are some floral notes. The scent of cereal. And some general light fruits. It is understated. It is a very understated nose. It is grain alcohol, so, But it's probably more... The nose is probably stronger than your average grain alcohol. So it's very, very spicy, very strong spice. It's a spicy meatball! Very spicy. And I'm getting some grapes. So really picking up those Cab Sav influences. A little bit of honey. And some raspberries. Very interesting. Some currants. Alternating current. Or direct current. No, it's just currants. I almost want to say some blackberries, but hard to say. Maybe not as dark. So berry. I'll settle for berries. I'd say a tinge of caramel as well, but very, very mild. It's more that fruitiness. So the berries, the raspberries, the grapes. Blackberries. Very nice. Very nice indeed. It's interesting that those flavors are as strong as they are. Normally, grain whiskies are kind of a bit flat, and the reason why it's then used as a canvas for blends is then the single malts have a chance to shine. They're not being overshadowed by the grain alcohol. But in this case, it's the grain alcohol that is the showcase. So that's interesting. Interesting facet to the experience. It's a short finish, and it's a little bit of oakiness with that berry taste, I would say. Touch on the dry side. Well, that was the Teeling single grain. The JDC will be there again. He probably will. He quite enjoyed it. I don't know why I'm suddenly referring to myself in the second person. Give it a go. I mean, don't be put off by the grain alcohol side of things. I mean, this is not the grain alcohol made to boost up a blend. This is grain alcohol made specifically to be drunk as is. And so some effort has been put into this, knowing that it will be the showcase. And I found that very attractive flavor profile. I like that. You don't get that very often, or I don't. The darker berries coming through there. A curious drop, a very interesting drop. I would recommend it. I would certainly offer it to friends and say, here, have a go of this. Well, if you have enjoyed this review, please do give us a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more reviews, do subscribe to the channel. That's the one that gives me power and strength beyond measure. And I look forward to sampling another whiskey for all you salty dogs very, very soon.